Last week, we had the opportunity to explore the archaeological treasures of this beautiful land. Today, we're going to explore the inhabitants of this amazing and beautiful country because Maya is a nation. Anyways, that's the stuff for another time. We're going to see the beings that live here, and what better place to do that than in the zoo. Let's go. Today, we're starting by getting to know better the animals around here. Here in the zoo, we can find amazing animals such as the tiger, the lemurs, the land lion, and once the sea lion. Rest in peace, Nico. Despite this great diversity, we don't quite see these animals freely in the fields of Maya. Why is that? That is the question we ask ourselves. To answer it, we're gonna ask our specialist in the area, Dr. Lemire. What are your thoughts on the matter? Fascinating. However, I believe we might require a more verbal opinion. For that, we ask our second opinion in our other specialist, Dr. John. Dr. John, please. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Doctor, what would you say could be some of the most striking impacts of the cohabitation of humans and other animals?
Well, there is certainly a wide variety of consequences that we can imagine, but given my specialty, I would maybe like to talk about zoonotic diseases.
Fascinating. So earlier on, you talked about your specialty. Would that be meat or fish? Or desserts, maybe?
I meant my scientific specialty. I'm a virologist.
Oh, of course. So tell me, Dr. John, what patterns can we find regarding the distribution of these diseases and their corresponding carriers?
Well, in general, you could say that species that transmit zoonosis are more prevalent in underdeveloped or rural areas. Of course, some exceptions can be found, namely the rodents, which carry a high volume of zoonosis in Europe and underdeveloped and urbanized areas such as North Africa, East Asia, and southern Brazil. You can also notice that in the same regions of latitude reside the same amount of zoonotic host species.
Interesting. And what would you say are the most mammals that pose the most risk?
Well, I actually have a graph here that really helps understanding this. As you can see, the genera Carnivora, Chiroptera, and Rodentia will be the ones that pose the greatest risk, since these carry the most diseases and are the most widespread across the world.
Hmm. By the way, the producers told me about this concept, spillover. Would you mind elaborating on that?
Sure, a spillover event consists of the transmission of a virus from a natural reservoir to another host.
And how would you say the number of zoonotic pathogen carrying species might influence their likelihood of a spillover event? And what other factors might influence the likelihood of a spillover event?
Well, when more species carry a pathogen, it is more likely that the contact with the disease will occur. Given that there is a contact between humans and these animals, it is also more likely that a spillover event could occur. There are several factors that include the species richness of an order and the overall contact between humans and animals.
Fascinating. On a different line of thought, how many different cultures experience different risks of exposure to mammals and carry zoonotic diseases? And how can this be seen in Europe and North America?
In Europe and North America, there is more contact with wild mammals because of the hunting and the tourism in natural areas. Cultures with more meat conservation and low sanitation will also have an increasing risk of infection.
Alright, final question. What would you say is the role of climate change on all of this?
Climate change and precipitation may have caused the displacement of species to new areas and increased the chance of contact with humans.
Thanks, Doctor. And there you have it. It seems we don't really see flying flamingos or lions roaming in the plains of Maia because they would bring diseases to this area, and the brave people of Maya decided to sacrifice their immense beauty of their land for the sake of public health of the surrounding areas, the surrounding and grateful populations, and have mercifully reserved the animals' richness in the land in this amazing zoo.
I believe you're mistaken. You don't see lions or flamingos roaming around here because they're not here in the first place. They were brought to the zoo.
What?